Hi everyone, and welcome back to Canada Top to Bottom, and the next in our series on PNPs. Today we're going to be talking about how to immigrate to Yukon through their nominee program. Now, Yukon is not a Canadian province, it is one of Canada's 3 territories and the smallest of the 3 territories. Yukon is also Canada's second least populated province or territory, with a population of just over 40,000 people, almost 3/4 of whom live in the capital.
The climate in Yukon is extremely harsh, with long cold winters and brief warm summers. The temperature can hit lows of -40°C in the winter months and highs of 26°C in the summer. Yukon's capital and only main town is Whitehorse, which you can fly to directly from Vancouver, Calgary and Edmonton year-round, and from August to April, the Yukon is one of the best places on the planet to watch the Northern Lights. With 80% of the territory being wilderness, the wildlife in Yukon is amazing, with grizzly bears, caribou and moose roaming free, to name but a few.
Some little known facts about Yukon are that it is home to Mount Logan, Canada's highest peak. It contains one of Canada's longest rivers and also contains the westernmost point in Canada. Being so far north and near the Arctic Circle, some parts of Yukon experience 24 hours of sunshine in the summer months. At the height of the summer season, the sun sets just before midnight. What an unusual and exciting place to live.
As with all Canadian provincial and territorial nominee programs, the Yukon Nominee Program, or YNP, has several immigration routes which allow foreign nationals to become Canadian permanent residents. Now, of course, this program provides routes for foreign workers to settle and start a life in Yukon, which means that you must have the intention to reside in Yukon once you are granted your permanent residency.
The Yukon Nominee Program accepts applications from applicants both inside and outside of Canada. Although if you are inside Canada, you must already have legal status such as a work permit or a study permit. Visitors are not eligible to apply for this program. It's also important to mention right from the very start that to qualify for the program, you must have a full-time, non-seasonal job offer from an eligible Yukon employer, as well as meeting any specific criteria of your chosen application stream. The YNP is very much employer-driven, and its purpose is to fill critical vacancies when qualified Canadians or permanent residents cannot be found. As a result, the number of foreign workers accepted into the program is directly linked to the job vacancies in the territory. Employers must try and fill their positions locally or nationally, and if they can't do this, they can start to actively look for foreign workers. Therefore, if you can't find employment in Yukon, you can't participate in this program.
The YNP is keen to stress that it is your responsibility to find employment in Yukon. The program does not help candidates find work, and they also don't keep a list of eligible Yukon employers. Their role is simply to provide the path to permanent residency once you've found employment. It's up to you to be proactive and find a job. However, what's nice about the YNP is that there is a collaboration between employer and employee. If the employer has exhausted all their options for finding a local worker, they will advertise their permanent position and you, the foreign worker, can apply for the job. After this, both the employer and the foreign worker apply to the relevant stream at the same time by completing the Yukon Nominee Program application. Now, as with all our videos, we've put some links in the description box below for useful websites where you can start your job search.
So, what are the options for the Yukon Nominee Program? There are 4 streams within this program, and these are Critical Impact Worker, Skilled Worker, Yukon Express Entry, and Yukon Community Program, which is a new pilot program. Which stream you can apply for will depend on the skill level of your job offer, which is known as NOC or NOC level. We've talked about NOC levels in many of our videos. This stands for National Occupation Classification and is a system used by the Government of Canada to classify occupations.
Occupations are grouped into categories based on the type of work a person does, the skill level, the education required, and the types of duties they fulfill. Occupations are classified into 5 groups: NOC 0, A, B, C or D. If you have a job offer in NOC skill level C or D, you will apply under the Critical Impact Worker stream, and if you have a job offer in NOC skill levels 0A or B, you'll apply under the Skilled Worker stream.
For both of these streams, you must have a minimum education of a high school diploma, plus any further education that is required for the position. For the critical impact worker stream, jobs with NOC skill levels C and D, you must have at least 6 months of full-time relevant work experience and a minimum language level of CLB4. For positions in NOC skill level B of the skilled worker stream, you must have at least 12 months of full-time relevant work experience and a minimum language level of CLB5. And for positions in NOC level 0 or A of the skilled worker stream, you must have at least 12 months of full-time relevant work experience and a minimum language level of CLB6.
With regards to the application process, the way it works is that eligible employers advertise their position locally and nationally, and if no qualified Canadian or permanent resident applies, the employer can offer a full-time permanent position to an eligible foreign national. The employer and the foreign worker both complete all the required forms for the Yukon Nominee Program, and then the employer submits a complete application to the YNP, along with all the relevant documentation, either in person, by mail, or via email for processing. If the employer is approved, the foreign national's information is reviewed, and, if approved, they become a territorial nominee.
Applications are processed in the order they are received, and the processing time is around 12 to 14 weeks. However, keep in mind that this is only the YNP application processing time. Once you become a territorial nominee, which means you have received a nomination from Yukon, you can use this to apply to the IRCC for a temporary work permit and for permanent residence. Your application will need to be reviewed by the federal government, first of all, to ensure that you meet all the federal criteria for coming to Canada. Now, this is a separate process which will take longer, but you can work for your employer under your temporary work permit while your permanent residency is in process. If you meet all admissibility checks such as security, health, criminality, you will receive your permanent residency and become a resident of Canada.
The Yukon Community Program was added to the YNP in 2020 as a 3-year pilot program, which means that if it is successful, it will be extended past the 3 years. It's not a permanent residence program, but a pathway to gaining a 2-year work permit. There are 6 communities which are part of this program in a bid to provide flexibility to employers in Yukon communities, as a lot of the employment in the territory is seasonal in nature. Therefore, it can be difficult to recruit and retain employees. The communities are Carcross, Camax, Dawson City, Haines Junction, Watson Lake and Whitehorse.
The requirements for this program are firstly that you have either 2 or 3 job offers within the same participating community, which are non-seasonal and which must together total at least 30 hours per week. This means that you don't need a full-time job, but instead you can work part-time for several different employers. Secondly, your work experience must match the job description, showing that you can perform the duties of the job that you have been offered. And finally, your wage must meet or exceed the current minimum wage in Yukon.
If you meet all these requirements, you submit your application to the Yukon Nominee Program, and, if successful, you will receive a signed letter of support or nomination letter from the Government of Yukon, which you can use to apply online for an open work permit. Be aware that because your job offers must be within the same community, your work permit will be a location-restricted permit, meaning that you can only work in that community. You can apply from either inside or outside Canada and will have to check the country-specific application requirements when you apply.
There are so many great things about this program. You can work in several different jobs. The work permit is valid for 2 years. You will be eligible to apply for Canadian permanent residence once you are there. Your spouse will also be able to apply for an open work permit in Canada, depending on the skill level of your job offers. You don't need to provide any proof of funds, and best of all, there are no specified educational or language requirements. And the job offers do not need an LMIA, which is essentially proof that the employers couldn't find anyone local to do the job. Most Canadian job offers require this, so being LMIA exempt is great.
With regards to the express entry stream of the YNP, as we mentioned earlier, the program is an employer-driven program, so this stream also starts with employers. Eligible employers can apply to the express entry stream only if the position they are hiring for is classed as a NOC 0, A or B occupation. Any other occupations will not be eligible. First, The employer finds a qualified foreign worker by using either Canada's Job Bank, where they can be matched with suitable foreign workers, or the express entry stream of the Yukon Nominee Program to offer a job to a foreign worker. The employer must first prove that there is no qualified Canadian or permanent resident to fill the position, and the foreign worker must show that they meet the requirements for at least one of the 3 express entry immigration programs. You can click the link in the description box below to look at the eligibility criteria for the express entry programs.
After this, the foreign worker creates an express entry profile if they don't already have one, and both the employer and the foreign worker complete the Yukon Express Entry application, along with, of course, any additional documents, after which the application is reviewed by IRCC and the foreign worker is invited to apply for permanent residence. The upside of going through the express entry system is that you apply directly for permanent residence, rather than having to first obtain a temporary work permit. But the downside of this route is that some of the eligibility requirements are much higher. For example, the express entry stream for skilled workers requires a language level of CLB 7, which is quite high, whereas through the skilled worker stream of the YNP, you will only need to obtain a CLB level 5 or 6.
Okay, so those are the 4 programs within the Yukon Nominee Program. Yukon is a fascinating part of Canada, and if you can cope with the harsh weather, it could be a great option for immigrating to Canada. Are you considering options outside of Canada's main cities and most popular provinces? Let us know, hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.